Hi guys, welcome back to Crochet Hangout. Today we're going to be doing a lesson on 3 different types of borders or what you call edges on the last row of a hat that acts as a really great finish on a plain hat like this, where maybe you want like a little something special, a little pizzazz, or something just to spruce it up. So the first one we're going to be learning is called the crab stitch. And the crab stitch is basically the reverse single crochet, and the reason it's called the crab stitch is because you're going to be crocheting to the right instead of to the left. This is definitely going to feel funny if you've never done this stitch before, but because it's only a reverse single crochet, it's not technically difficult. It's just a matter of getting used to the hand motion, and it will take some practice, but it is a really nice stitch to finish off a hat like this, because if you don't want something too frilly but you want to add a little bit of detail at the end, this is a great one to finish with. So basically you're going to start with a slip stitch, and you're going to attach it to the end of your hat. I finished off this hat in the last video, but if you are just continuing, you can change colors. And if you don't know how to change colors, you can reference our video on crochethangout.com or the Crochet Hangout YouTube channel. So the first thing we're going to do is, instead of going into the left hole here, we are going to go to the right hole. So what we're going to do is go into the hole on your right, you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to pull through the yellow portion. So you don't want to pull it through and make a slip stitch. You want to make sure that you have 2 loops on your hook. And then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through both of those. So it's going to look really funky, and you might be a little bit confused, so we're going to do it again very slowly. We're going to go into this next stitch. You're going to yarn over, bring it through just the yellow, making sure that you're not pulling through. Oh, we got double wrapped there. Sometimes that happens. Whoop. So I made a slip stitch there. That's not what we want to do. So we're going to start that stitch over. See, it is a little bit confusing if you're doing it really slowly at first. So you're going to go into that hole, you're going to yarn over, pull through. You've got 2 loops on your hook there. You're going to yarn over, let's get that end out of the way, and pull through. Do it one more time very slowly, and then we can do it all the way around and you can see what it looks like. So you're going to go into that next hole. You're going to grab that yarn, pull through just the yellow, make sure you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through. So I'm going to do this real quick so you can see. Once you get the hang of it, this border will literally take you like 5 minutes. It's a really fun stitch, and it looks really interesting and intricate when it's really not. And those are my favorite types of stitches, where people will come up to you and like, whoa, that is so cool, like how long did it take you to do that? And then you can go 5 minutes. So this is what it begins to look like. It's definitely like an edging. You can't do, I mean, I guess you technically could do another row on top of it, but it's not meant to have another row. So it is a true border stitch. And I actually found, I've been doing this stitch for years. It's one of my favorite to do on hats as well as blankets. And I found it online when I was looking for border stitches. There's so many of them out there, and we're only doing 3 today. There's so many variations of the next 2 that we're going to be doing. A lot of freedom to increase and decrease, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we move on to the next stitch. Oh, made a little mistake there. It happens. Luckily, crochet is a very forgiving yarn art. And at the end of this row, you're just going to do, I'm going to finish off with a slip stitch, and then just weave in the yarn as you would. It's a little bit more difficult to weave in this yarn because the stitch isn't super, oops, mistake there again. It's not easily hideable in this stitch, but if you're doing it with the same color, so say with like the yellow I have here, it's much easier because you can just hide it in the rows before it. Keep doing backward slip stitches, which is also something you can do. I've never tried it. I don't know if it's like a real stitch, but you could probably make it a really cool border. Almost there. It's a little weird going right because I'm so used to going left. But I guess for crochet lefties, it wouldn't be too weird because that's how you write. Alright, so we've gotten to the last stitch here. So what we're going to do is just go into that last one, then do a slip stitch, do another chain like I always do, and then right there you would cut it. But I'm not going to cut it because I'm going to take this yarn out so we can practice the next border. So if you want to see what the finished product looks like, this is what the crab stitch or the single reverse crochet looks like. So we're going to take this all out. And this is also, if you've got like a hat made and you just want to practice borders, this is a great way to do it because it doesn't take you too long. And then, okay, so we don't want to. Alright, so we are back to the attached slip stitch. So the next one we're going to be doing is called the shell stitch. This is a very popular one to add onto the outside of Afghans or baby blankets. There's so many variations of it, but this is my favorite one to do. It doesn't have quite as many shells as other versions of it. I like them pretty spread out on hats, but on blankets I like them like very close together. So what we're gonna do, get that out of the way, is we're going to, this is the first slip stitch. You're going to be doing a slip stitch and then a shell stitch and then another slip stitch and so on. So this counts as the first slip stitch. So we're going to skip the next two holes, and then in the third hole from the chain, or from the slip stitch, we're going to yarn over and do a half double crochet. And if you don't know how to do a half double crochet, I showed you how to do it in previous videos, which you can definitely reference, again on the website and the YouTube channel. So in this same stitch, you're going to do 4 more half double crochets, and that's what's going to make our shell stitch. So 4 and 5. So this is what the shell looks like. I really love this stitch. And then we're again going to skip 2 stitches, and in the third stitch we're going to do a slip stitch. So just pull through, and again skip 2, and then we're going to do 5 half double crochets. And you can also do this with double crochets if you want a more pronounced or taller shell, and treble crochets even make larger shells, but I like to save those for the Afghans, or even the edge of a scarf or like a granny square or something like that. So we now have 2 shell stitches, and then we're going to skip the next 2 and go into the third and do a slip stitch. And so that is 2 complete repetitions of the stitch. So now we're going to go a little bit faster now that you've seen it. So we're going to skip 2, and then in the third one we're going to do 5 half double crochets. And again, this one, because it's a little more spaced out, because normally you might have another shell like right here, this one takes a lot less time to do, because you're not doing twice as many shells. So if you're short on yarn, this is a good alternative to get that border in, but also not waste the yarn. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5. Skip the next 2 stitches, 3rd stitch, and then slip stitch, skip 2, 5 half double crochets. And you can also increase or decrease the number of stitches you want in the shell. Again, you can do like 10 if you want to. But you also have to be careful of how many stitches you're skipping, because you could end up increasing, oh, I don't want to do a chain there, number of stitches in the round, and that would make your border a little bit wavy, and it looks kind of funky. I mean, all to you if you want to make it wavy, because pretty much anything in crochet looks really cool to a non-crocheter. But if it is a gift, not everyone likes that style, so you have to really think about what will look good on a person's head. Because they might not want something wavy on their forehead. Skip 2, slip stitch, skip 2, half double crochets, 5 of them again, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then skip 2, perfect. We're going to do the slip stitch in there. And again, we would do another chain if you wanted to cut this off, but we're going to take a look at what it looks like. So we have nice spaced out shell stitches with half double crochets, 5 in each shell. So the final border we're going to be doing is called the Picot Stitch. It's not spelled like Picot the company, P-E-C-O, the electric company. It's called Picot, P-I-C-O-T, so it's not Picot. And for a long time when I was little and learned that name, I pronounced it incorrectly, but it is actually French, so it's pronounced Picot. And Picot is a stitch that is like a little tail. It's actually really pretty. And very simple to do. It's a beginner stitch, and you can pretty much do it on anything with an edging. So what we're going to do, this one includes single crochets and chain. So I personally like to have my Picot stitches pretty close together. I think it looks prettier. So that's what we're going to do today, but you can definitely increase the number of single crochets you have between them, or how big you want the Picot to be. So you'd increase the number of chains, but you'll see how to do that. So what we're going to do is single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and we're going to work in multiples of 2 for the single crochet so that the spaces between the picots are very small. So what we're going to do is chain 3 now. 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 chain stitches on top of this single crochet. And what we're going to do is go into that first chain stitch, pull the yarn, pull it through once, and then twice. So that's really like a slip stitch in this little, in this chain. So you see how you have this little like knobby kind of ball of yarn up there? So we're going to go into the next stitch, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and that is what the stitch looks like. So you have this little like thing that sticks out, but it's very pretty around. It's almost like a point, like a little star point. So we're going to keep going. We're going to do that again slowly. So we already did the 2 single crochets, so we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Go into the first chain from the stitch, pull through once, and if you need to hold the knobby, it's easier, so pull through again. You have the Picot right here, chain, or not chain, single crochet 1, and then single crochet 2. Alright, so now we have 2 repetitions of that, the Picot stitch there. So it's starting to take shape. We'll do it one more time slowly. So we already did the 1, 2. So we're going to chain 1, chain 2, chain 3, go into the first stitch, or the first chain there, pull through once, hold it there, pull through twice, you have your Picot stitch, single crochet 1, single crochet 2. Alright, so we have 3 repetitions. You're starting to get the shape of it here. Again, you can do this with the same yellow color, you can do it with a different color, but it looks pretty either way. I'm going to speed it up so you can see what it will look like in the end. And this is also a stitch that's easy to mess up if you're not careful because there's so many little movements. So this one is a little bit slower for me than the shell or the crab stitch. See, I already messed it up there. You have to be careful. But it is a really pretty one once you see the end of it. And I learned this stitch after the crab stitch, and I really didn't start doing shells. For a long time I kept messing up my shells because I would do too many stitches within the shell, and then again it would make it kind of wavy. But there is actually another border stitch with a wave to it, and we can definitely do that in another video. It's really cool on the end of a scarf. And I'm sure we'll do a scarf in another tutorial. So many I want to do. Because crochet is such a versatile yarn art, and you can make so many different things. Knitting is also beautiful. I'm not very good at it, but this one I think is a little bit easier to pick up if you're not ambidextrous like me. Alright, we're getting there. Again, this one's takes a little bit longer to get used to, but we are on our way. 1, 2, chain 3, pull through, chain 1, or single crochet 1, 2, chain 1, 2, 3, and then pull through. And this is also a great one because it works with any number of stitches in a round. Some of them require certain multiples of like 2 or 4 or 6 or 3. 3 is a popular multiple as well. And if you don't have the right number of stitches in the round, it'll mess up in the end. But luckily this one doesn't require that. So we have about that much to go. We're getting there. Whoop. I did a slip stitch there. We don't want that. I tend to mess up my single crochet sometimes if I'm going too fast because I don't do the extra pull through. Whoop. 2, 3, and pull through. 1, 2, 2, 3. And it's funny because the amount of yarn that each of these borders took is about the same, even though one seems to take more yarn than the other. Luckily, none of them took too much yarn. Alright, we are nearing the end. So you'll be able to see the finished product. 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we will finish there. Again, same thing. You'd slip stitch, do another chain, and then pull tight and cut this off. But we're not going to. So this is what Picot Stitch looks like. Hide that little loop so you can see what it looks like. It's actually very cute for like a child's hat, or even a cloche or something like that. But again, these 3 edges / border stitches are very easy to do. There's so many more, and I hope you enjoyed making a variety of them today. See you next time.